Say puppetry. Thank you. Thank you, everyone, and I welcome you all to the 12th edition of the Anubhav. And let me introduce the session today. Just give me a moment to share my screen. Hmm, Okay. So before I begin, I can just say hello to all. Myself, Manish Pachiaru from UNIMA Puppeteers Trust, India. And can I request you all to say a hello in the chat box, drop your name, and also write from where you are joining today. Please keep your microphone mute when not speaking, and you can keep your video on if you wish. And if you are uncomfortable and networks are not stable, you can keep your video off too. But
Sahitya.
Anubhav is the space to see each other and connect. Yeah. So you can ask your questions by the end of the session, but again, you can raise your hand and write it in the chat box during the session too. So yeah,
नमस्ते
we are
नमस्ते
Namaste,
नमस्ते
Gundu sir. Namaste, namaste, namaste.
Namaste.
प्रणाम सर।
So
नमस्ते
pranam.
सबको सबको प्रणाम
Gundu sir is the president of UNIMA Puppeteers Trust right now, India, and it's a privilege to have him with us today. So we are Puppeteer Trust India. It's the India chapter, the National Center of Union International de la Marinette, the International Association of the Puppeteers. We are present in more than 90 countries. UNIMA is the world's oldest international theater organization and is affiliated with UNESCO. So this year we turned 97, and its member contribute to the development and promotion for puppetry through performances, research, education, documentation, festival, conferences, exhibitions, training programs, and collaborations. So you can explore our resources. We are present on our website www.unimapuppeteertrust.in, and you can also access our free online digital publications called Sutradhar. There are 18 journals issued already and available on our website. This is the platform for discussion, discourses, sharing of ideas, critical and practices and policies about puppetry, and many issues have been woven around the masterclasses held by Unima India with a view to document the same and share the progress and process with the wider public. So we also have another digital publication called the newsletters, and there are 10 editions already published and available on our website. This is the platform to aspire the nature of meaningful networking, collaborative learning, and global artistic exchange while contributing to the continued growth of Unima India and the wider puppetry fraternity. Uh, we are present on social media handles, both Facebook and Instagram, and it's the handle called at the rate puppeteers. You can follow us for the continuous update and tag us wherever the event are happening regarding puppetry and puppetry real. Our recordings are digital library available on our official YouTube channel called Puppetry at the rate Puppeteer Trust, where you can find the recordings of previous Anubhav sessions, documentaries, masterclasses, and discussions on Indian puppetry, which is available on youtube.com at the rate Puppeteer Trust. So this is Anubhav. We welcome you again. So what is Anubhav? Anubhav is the word originate from Sanskrit, which means experience, feeling, perceptions, and it embodies the concept of gaining knowledge and understanding through direct involvement and observation. The name is commonly used in India and reflect the value placed on learning from life lessons and developing a deep understanding of the world. So Anubhav is an initiative by Unima Puppeteer Trust India. It's a series of conversation with puppeteers, traditional masters, contemporary practitioners, theater makers, trainers, researchers, therapists, filmmakers, enthusiasts from the world of puppetry every corner. We have 11 episodes so far available on our YouTube. You can access them. And why Anubhav? It's to know each other better, create space for genuine connection within the puppetry community, and to learn from lived experience, centering the wisdom of practitioners who live and breathe this art form. And it's to exchange knowledge, it is to sharing practice, research, and pedagogy across geographies and generation, and to strengthen the roots, more collectively building a stronger, more connected puppetry ecosystem in India and beyond. Welcome to Anubhav 12th edition. In this edition, we have our guest today, none other than Miss Choiti Ghosh. So it's an honor to introduce her. So Choiti Ghosh has pioneered object theatre in India and is the artistic director of Tram Arts Trust. She directs and performs, facilitates training and mentorships, design festivals and museum-based experiences, and also writes on object theatre practices. Her work has been presented across India and internationally. She has been researcher in residence at prestigious institutions in France and Germany, and has shared her directorial and pedagogical practices in the United Kingdom, Germany, and France. She has awarded Sahitya Rangabhoomi Vinod Doshi Fellowship in 2011, Ustad Bismillah Khan Yuva Puraskar for puppetry by Sangeet Natak Academy in India in 2016, and Special Jury Award at Chuncheon International Puppet Theatre Festival, South Korea in 2015. So it is my privilege to introduce the guest of today, Ms. Choiti Ghosh, because I met her first time in 2017. It was the occasion of mentorship program by Katkatha Puppeteers Trust at New Delhi. So that was the moment when I saw her first time in person, uh, and that mentorship program was around object and material, more about material. It was material theater and mentored by Barbara calling from Germany. So yeah, and she's the only person who introduced me to UNIMA and asked me, why don't you join UNIMA? So she initiated me with UNIMA, and see, it's almost a decade happened to pass. This is 26, and today I am introducing UNIMA, and she's the guest today. So it's really an honor to introduce you. Welcome, Choiti ma'am. Welcome.
Thank
Welcome
you,
today.
Manish. I think the UNIMA EC can thank me for bringing Manish into the fold because
Yeah.
he is really one of the most proactive and dynamic leaders that we have had. So
Yeah.
thank you, Manish. And also thank you to everybody who has joined from all around the world from different time zones. Um, Thank you for the interest in the Anubhav sessions. And I hope it will be a dynamic session where we can all participate and with not just me going jabber, jabber, jabber the whole time.
Definitely,
Uh,
definitely.
okay. So I would like to begin
Yeah,
with a poem.
great. So,
Many of you would probably, Manish, you'll have to keep giving me a time check. Huh? Otherwise, I'll just keep going on.
sure. So I'll share the anecdote. You have just,
Many of you may already know this. Uh, Ode to Things by Pablo Neruda. I have a crazy, crazy love of things. I like pliers and scissors. I love cups and rings and bowls. Not to speak, of course, of hats. I love all things, not just the grandest, but also the infinitely small. Thimbles and spurs and plates and flower vases. Oh, yes, the planet is sublime. Incidentally, I fell in love with Pablo Neruda and this book, Ode to Common Things, when I was in college, where I had never even heard of object theatre or even thought of puppetry. I came into puppetry about a decade after that. There were a lot of things in the middle since college. I was born into theatre, so I grew up doing it. Um, but even though it's an art form, even though theater is an art form that I know quite well, it still took me a very long time to accept that this is what I wanted to do, because in some ways you take a long time to, you take for granted things that have been given to you. So I spent many years working with different theater companies around the country and eventually fell into puppetry. In the journey, I thought I would be a comic book writer. I thought I would be an animator, then an educator, a researcher. Then I thought I would be a traveling singer, then an actress, and then a puppeteer. All through all this journey, eventually, when I fell into object theater, all of these things combined, they came together. I came to object theater from puppetry because in 2010 I did a small masterclass, about a month long masterclass with Agnes Lambos at the Institut International de la Marionnette on their summer professional workshops. That was a crash course in object theater. A month is a very, very short time. So when I came back, there was a very long and desperate search of what is object theater. Because objects are omnipresent and we have all played with them in many ways for centuries. So what is object theater? What are its techniques? What are its rules? And very importantly also, what all is not object theater? How is it different from puppetry? The initial years were really spent in research on this. I would read, I would research, I would facilitate workshops, do internal workshops, create shows, the occasional residencies where I would gather articles that have been written. All of these ways were just trying to figure out what is object theater and what it is not. So I was a little bit like Eklavya, who's hiding behind a tree, far away from where the actual class is happening, and learning by watching. So I was a bit of a voyeur. Well, except that my Dronacharya, my teacher, was in Belgium or in France or in Germany or in some other countries. And all the Pandavas and Kauravas who could have been my cohorts, they were all in different parts of the world and nobody was around. So I was a little bit like this lone Eklavya who was learning through YouTube and articles and occasional residencies and a little bit like practice. So I would set these rules in the workshop that object theater is not this. We don't do this. And object theater is this, and we only do this. And I would be crushed whenever the improvisations ventured outside object theater into other art forms, particularly puppetry. These are some of the early shows that we had made. And there were workshops and then there were productions and things like this. Then at some point, the preoccupation of what is object theater shifted to why object theater? Why am I doing this? Yeah, so this is some of the initial work that we were doing. And then when the preoccupation shifted to why object theater, everything changed. And I would actually like to speak a little bit on why I started doing object theater, because when this question came about, not only did it answer what is object theater, it also opened up the question, it broadened the question hugely. So why objects? Next slide, Manish. The first and very important thing for me, it's of immense importance that objects are very low down in the order of existence. in the system, in the caste system of what is valuable and what is important, objects are very low down. Even though we live surrounded by objects today, and our lives would be very, very difficult if all these objects were to go away, but unless they have economic or monetary or sentimental value, objects largely remain dispensable, they remain replaceable. But when I brought them into the theater, suddenly these lowly objects, they raised in importance. Suddenly they all had a story and they connected intellectually and emotionally. Suddenly they had value. And it became very apparent that the most insignificant and the most unimportant existence also has a story to tell. It became a mode to challenge status quo. So object theater for me became a theater of I object.
Objection, my lord.
Yeah. Secondly,
Okay.
it also is very important. It became important that objects speak socioculturally and personally. So you can look at an object and know, I have some here. You can look at an object and know when it comes from. Does it come from, can you guys all see this? Does it come from a very old time? Does it come from does it come from my grandfather's time? This is literally my grandfather's. These are those watches that you have to wind up. Or does it come from a very contemporary time? So these objects, they speak of their time. They not only speak of their time, they speak of their regions. You know, you look at an object, you know where it has come from. They can speak about socio-cultural, political, economic, many aspects. And these are not things that we have to write a great big essay on. You don't have to write a monologue about this. There are many things that we instinctively, subliminally already know when you look at an object. So an object becomes sort of like a concentrate of information. So object theater then became a theater of, I don't have to say it. You already know it. It is also important that the object makes you stop and look closely. So Samuel Beckett said, it is the role of objects to restore silence. Some of the information will come to you immediately when you look at the object. And when you look even more closely, the next layer of information will start coming. You start noticing the cracks, maybe. You start noticing the dents. Your mind will start wondering, how did this come? You start feeling a little something for that object. And then when your personal associations might come in, and then when you look even closer, something very remarkable starts to happen. Our mind starts to make connections beyond the self. It starts making connections into history, into politics, into architecture, into design, into ecology, migration, colonialism, economics. I don't know if maybe some of you remember this, but a while ago there was a photographer on Instagram who was going around the world photographing children with their toys. So a child from America with a room full of their toys, a child from Palestine, a child from Afghanistan, from Paris, from a Delhi slum. All the information that those objects gave about that child, about the society that that child lives in, about the politics of that place, about the time then, the region, all of this from one object. So object theater then also became a theater of realizing connections between myself and the world, between different aspects of the world, and also between different worlds. Then it is very important that they speak in suggestions or in symbols. And it can say something very big in a very surprising and a very unexpected and fun way without being didactic. So every object has been manufactured with a particular material in a particular design for a specific function, a function that has nothing to do with theater or storytelling. Yet, this material, this design, and this function can be connected to larger ideas through the act of planting suggestions. So I can take any piece of paper and I can suggest to you, find a way to suggest to you that this, oh, this is not working.
Object start objecting.
Yeah, I should have practiced this. So I can try and suggest to you that this is some sort of a rudimentary map. And there are all these people who live in it. All these different multicolored people who live in it. And then, as you can see, I'm a great artist. And then something can happen. And a suggestion of something that might have happened. So object theater became a theater of coexisting realities, coexisting layers. The reality of the paper and the reality of the suggestion that I made and what you interpreted, all of this coexists together, sort of like a palimpsest. But it's not just a palimpsest of meaning or interpretation, it is also a palimpsest of ownership. I suggest you interpret. The paper exists, so does the meaning. It has also now become very important that the object asserts its case. It asserts its possibilities and its limitations very strongly. See, the big discovery was that the object is very different from the puppet. There are similarities, but in a very important way, it is quite different. Is that the puppet has been made for performance. It can be given the design, the joints, the movement, and the abilities that are required for the performance. But the object has none of these abilities. It has not been made for the performance in mind. It has been made for a completely different purpose entirely. So the object can sometimes be very generous and do what the show requires. And very often the object will resist this demand that I, as a theater maker, make from it. So it will just stand there. And it will just be what it is. The object will probably not only evoke that association that I wanted to evoke. It might evoke different associations in different people's minds as well. Because we all have different memories, we have different histories. So it will remain what it is, where it is. So I, as a theater maker, I will have to adjust my assumptions and my demands. And I will have to bend my body and move forward and bridge this gap that exists between the object and myself. And I will have to, because the object will not bridge that gap, I will have to bridge that gap to find a new way of expression that allows the idea and the object to enhance each other, that allow these layers to coexist. So what object theater did do was to force me to find a theater of surrender and find meeting points. It forced me to let go of absolute control and spend some time listening to this thing. And as a practice, the object and the material, I had to allow them to teach me something new every time, because every object and every material is vastly different. So when this preoccupation of what is object theater, which is the techniques, shifted to why object theater, I suddenly gained a vast playing field. I suddenly had a lot of fluidity, because I was no longer obsessed with what all is object theater not. But I suddenly became preoccupied with what all can object theater be, which further expanded to what all can arts in collaboration with objects be. It also expanded my worldview. It changed how I look at people, how I look at societies, how I relate with people, and the interconnectedness of life. I realized quite late that I had actually fallen in love with what all theater of objects can stand for. And incidentally, a lot of the things that I realized, possibly because of my background, found a rooting within our context, within Indian contexts, Indian philosophies, our histories. Now, we were talking about symbolism. I was talking about symbolism a little while ago. Indian art is replete with symbolism. Our traditional and particularly folk arts, if you look at Varali, if you look at Gondi, Bhil arts, it's all about symbolism. So our gods and deities with their 10 heads and 8 hands and their vahans and their many avatars, our stories and our folklores of shape-shifting Brahmin tigers, the battle of Mahabharata, the recurring Ram who keeps coming back, the princess who comes from dhan or paddy or rice. This is all symbolism. We live surrounded by it. Now, when we are talking about mise-en-scène, the arrangement of images that object theater has, and that is the foundation of how object theater presents its case. What is Patachitra? What is Fard? An arrangement of images the viewer has to join the dots to make meaning of. So Indian audiences, we are very comfortable with reading symbols, signs, suggestions. I don't think we are, as an audience, are necessarily seeking realism in our art form. So we are quite used to looking at a representation of the world, an interpretation of world, rather than a replica of the world. And I realized that the vocabulary of object theater is very familiar and is already, in many ways, was already a given with our audiences, because we already have very sophisticated symbolic vocabularies that we have lived with for centuries. What was new and exciting is to find the resonances and the connections and the grounding of all that I was learning about object theater to our folklores, our customs, our stories, our objects, our lifestyles and beliefs across states, languages, religions, and cultures. What all are these vocabularies? How do we relate to our objects? What all are our objects? Apart from the objects that we live with now, what is their history? What is the continuum that we are a part of? How does an object theater practitioner or people, even if we forget about arts, us as people who live surrounded by objects, what is the continuum from where we have come? And what is the continuum to which we will contribute? Where do we fit? Research suddenly became very important in our work. Research was always important, like I told you. It was most of the research was being done, secondary research, through YouTube, through books, through articles, from watching. Now, groundwork, field work, in the field, in the villages and the towns. This became very important because because we realized that uh, that India is so diverse that if you really want to find your context, who you are speaking to, what you are speaking about, it was very important to break a bubble, the bubble of the city art practitioners that we live and function in. So from 2019 onwards, a second phase and a slightly different kind of research started, which took us into the villages and towns of West Bengal. For the people who don't know the Indian geography, it is a state in the eastern part of India, even though it is called West Bengal, because East Bengal is now Bangladesh. The purpose of this research was to surround ourselves with a particular kind of objects that are both they're mesmerizing, they're attractive, and also very spooky dolls. Next slide, Manish.
Yeah.
So from 2019, we have been hanging around with the doll arts and the doll artists of West Bengal, learning, researching, making friends, hearing stories, sharing stories, documenting, collaborating, and hoarding hundreds and hundreds and hundreds of dolls. Any of you who happen to be in Delhi, please come to our studio and we will show you the varieties of dolls that have existed for centuries, because the oldest of these traditions go back a few thousand years to a few hundred years to a few decades, the most recent being a few years old. It is a long, continuous tradition, a very varied and rich tradition. Now, these dolls, they straddle a very interesting balance of being ordinary objects and being special objects. You may or may not have lived with these particular dolls, but you know them. You know dolls. People all over the world, you know them or something similar to them. And dolls, they speak from a very primal part of us. There are numerous doll traditions and styles all over the world and all over West Bengal that are still continuous, still practiced, still relevant. Even though they are very rooted to their context, to their histories, to their lores, to their customs, they're also dynamic. The ones that survive, they survive because they have evolved, they adapt, and they continue. When you see next slide, Manish, many of their designs are very symbolic. So they become timeless and highly interpretative. Also, the next slide, Manish. And they all have stories surrounding them, all these dolls. And these stories vary from ritualistic to very personal to the artist, personal to the communities, but also to the artist. Their stories are so rich and so multi-layered that they can speak beyond their immediate context to universal human themes and conditions. Next slide, Manish. This is how, in different ways, that the dolls research has manifested into exhibitions, into workshops, performances, films, interactions. We are now heading into publications. What was interesting is that the whats and whys of object theatre came together with our generational, culturally rooted objects through material, music, beliefs, folklores. Next slide, Manish. So this is the scope of the research, that these are all different traditions from different regions. These are some of the villages that we have worked in. Next slide. This is the geography of West Bengal. And as of now, we are uh, we have gone into 11 districts, 32 villages, have a collection of 200 and more than 250 dolls in 40 genres. This is how vibrant and rich this art form continues to be. Next slide. These are some of the exhibitions that we have done in different parts, in different places. Sometimes in collaborations with venues, sometimes in collaborations with museums. And it's not the important thing in this is the stories, and the stories that are quite universal. Even though the doll tradition itself might be a few hundred years old or a few thousand years old even. Next slide. These are workshops with the doll artists from West Bengal. What is important in these workshops is that these are not skill sharing workshops. We are not training participants to be doll makers, but it's a cross-cultural bridge. It is a transference and exchange of philosophies and beliefs and ideas and meeting grounds. These are experiential workshops. Next slide. Hands-on workshops, storytelling sessions, discussion groups. It's all about building connections. Everything that we do with this project is about building connections. Next slide. Talks, presentations, walkthroughs. Next slide. Animation films. This is a very interesting branch that emerged from this research, because us being object theater performers, our first instinct was to make theater with the dolls in collaborations with the doll artists and stories. And then eventually it branched into collaborations with other art forms. So 2 animation films have emerged. Which we probably will not have the time to share them today. Next. This is the performance that came out of this research in collaboration with doll artists from a very specific region of West Bengal, which is called the Sundarbans. And Sundarbans is a very, very marginalized area. It's also at the forefront of climate change. It's a dense mangrove delta where people live in very close proximity with the forest, with tigers, crocodiles, snakes, where the philosophy of the interconnectedness of life and the equality, not just amongst human beings, but among all elements. The resident folk deity, the cult deity of Sundarbans is Bon Bibi. And Bon Bibi, her ground philosophy is that she sees no difference between a Hindu or a Muslim or a Brahmin or a Dalit or a human or a tiger, an ant, a tree, earth, water, soil. For her, they are all equal, they are all her children. And this connects very closely to the fundamental principle, the fundamental philosophy of object theater that was one of my first gains when I started practicing object theater. So there are many, many different ways in which our folk traditions, in which our folk objects connected very, very serendipitously with all the learnings from a very modern practice of object theater. Next slide.
Can we see a little of visual of this work, like video?
Yeah. Come to the next slide. We'll come to the thing. Yeah. So these are, I tried to sort of make a graphic of how objects and material and how folk performance traditions, beliefs, lifestyles that have these objects are the objects, the clay dolls that you see on the top left hand corner of the slide. These dolls are the artists have really stopped making them. They only make them on commission now because they can no longer compete with plastic toys. And because Sundarbans has regular cyclones where everything gets washed away. So livelihoods is hard. Arts is even harder. But they continue, they hold on somehow. So how beliefs and lifestyles and folk performance and objects and material, all of this came together into this performance. We can watch videos now. Manish, I don't know if we have the time. I had thought that maybe we can see the short trailer of the first play that we had made, which was called Nostos,
Okay.
based on Homer's Odyssey, and the latest production, which is Mati Katha. So you really clearly see a journey. You see thematic, stylistic, like a graph. But I don't know if we have the time. So if we don't have the time, Manish, let's only see Mati Katha. But if we do, then let's watch first Nostos, then Mati Katha.
Okay. Sure.
What do you want to do?
I
We
think
have
let's. Yeah. Yeah. Yeah.
we have time now.
Yes. 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 We can watch.
Okay.
Let's
So
watch.
this is the first play ever that we had made. This was made in 2011. And this is our latest running show, made in 23.
Islands across a watery world, scattered. Look, so many colorful people in our Sundarban.
The forest is always watching.
Raju and Alta, the very bestest of friends. Fishing challenges, races, jokes, their banter never ends. Presenting Dukhe Jatra! The adventures of Dukhe. Going on Dukhe! There is a big wave coming!
পাঠাও দুঃখেরে আমার সনে মরদের জঙ্গলে দলে বলে কেটে পড় রেখে দুঃখেরে আমার কাছে
Looks like there's a big storm coming.
ভাসাইলি কোন ভাটির পর রে দয়াল ভাসাইলি কোন ভাটির পর মাটি কাদায় রাখলো সনাতন সুন্দরবনে পাইলাম কোন নতুন দর্শন ভালোবেসে হাত বাড়িয়ে করো রে যতন যতন বিনে ভয়ঙ্করী হতে কতক্ষণ হতে কতক্ষণ
You can really see it's so funny to watch the first show and this show. So you can really see a journey of styles, of presentation. Yeah, I mean, I'm also the kind of objects, the relation with objects, everything has
Really interesting.
Yeah, it's really done it's really done a very long journey. So the why I wanted to talk about the whys so much is that I realized that I realized that the philosophy of working with objects, it really opens out a huge scope of possibilities. If we can come to the next slide. So from where we started and the kind of engagements that we were doing, when we went into thinking about why we are doing object theater, where we are doing object theater, for whom are we doing it, what are we speaking about, where do we fit, then a whole world of possibilities opened up, which are all rooted in objects, and they're all rooted in theater, but they have all these branches and manifestations. So I'll just end with also saying that because of object theater, I have had the great privilege of traveling around the world, and also the deepest parts of our country. Have had the great privilege of meeting the coolest, maddest people. Have had the privilege to see lives that are so full of passion, that are so full of madness and beliefs and motivation, and against all odds, a very stubborn, infallible vision, and have gained a kind of inspiration that has changed my life entirely, that has changed worldviews entirely. And I have found connections between a worldwide practice of object theater to the objects' beliefs in our villages. And I have made very, very close friendships with both international and rural artists. And this is my biggest gain. That's all, folks.
Yay. Thank you so much. It was lovely sharing. So I think the house is now open. If you have any question, you can raise your hands or put your questions in the chat box. And in the meantime, I can ask you. It was a lovely presentation and the great insight about object theater and your own journey with it.
It would be really nice to see people's faces.
I already made that
Whoever is
disclaimer in the
able to
beginning.
and is willing to turn their
Yeah.
cameras on, it would be very nice to have a
Please,
chat.
please turn on. So I have a question for you. So since object is so many have layer, as you explained, that it has association, memory, and it has performative qualities. So why do we become emotionally attached to object? For example, some people keep a pen for 20 years. Some preserve old train tickets and never throw it in the trash. Some refuse to throw away their broken toys. Why do we objects carry memories so powerfully? What is your opinion on it?
I think a very simple word for that is endowment. We endow
Hmm.
very strongly. We endow
Mhm.
in many different ways.
Mhm.
And we talk about endowment so much in puppetry as well, no?
Mhm. Correct.
You pick up anything, and the first thing that you imagine are eyes, and you imagine faces, and you imagine the human form
Mhm.
in any dead material.
Mhm.
I think we are wired to we are wired to endow
So-
ourselves on everything. And there's another thing that there are, when you look very closely at an object,
Mhm.
I was talking about the cracks and the dents, and I was talking about the bumps, and I find these very relatable. The damage or the hurt of an object, I find these very relatable. That it carries these hurts, it carries these scars,
Mhm.
and I think this, as human beings, is something that we relate to also.
Right. Very true. So do object have stories before they perform or we touch them, or do they perform the performers create those stories through the object?
Meaning you're asking uh, how we devise the performances. Does it start
Yes,
from
yes,
the idea of the script, or does it start from the object?
yes, yes.
Ah, okay. I think different people work in different ways. But for us, it is in the initial years, it was always idea first. Like the first play that you saw, Nostos, that we showed, it was the idea first, and it was we made that play the only way we knew at that time how to make theater. That's the only way we knew, is to have an idea and then write it down. And because we knew it was going to be objects theater, the objects were written into it. Which hand will pick up which object in which angle? That was also written into it.
Oh,
So
that detailed.
yeah, detailed and very, very structured. So and in the course of making that performance, some things changed because many things changed because you realize that uh, you really can't decide that this object is going to come out in this hand in this angle, and then it will look exactly like that, or it will communicate exactly that same thing. Objects require, or it requires exploration. It requires for the improvisation of the idea and the object to meet, to find a meeting ground, and to create something together. So in the beginning, it was like that. Then subsequently, it also happened that we came upon an object, and that object stayed with us for a very long time. So you would walk by and look at that object. It was just on the shelf. Walk by and look at that object, and you used to keep thinking about, why is this object still here? And then slowly, a thread started to build. And that thread became the line of the play.
Right.
Eventually, where the last work that we made, it was led first by the objects, because when we went to the Sundarbans and met the artists and realized that they no longer make those dolls, so we asked them, because the cyclone Ayla and Amphan had happened, and
Correct.
everything, all their work had gotten washed away. Their houses only had gotten washed away.
Oh.
So people were still rebuilding. So we asked them, if we commission you, will you make everything that you used to make? So they made a set of 30 dolls and gave them to us 1 year later. When we had
1 year.
Yeah, I mean, it takes some time for us to keep going back to Sundarbans. Sundarbans is not an easy place to navigate. I mean, you have to do every mode of transport that exists on this planet. You have to do that. You have to do boat, raft, bus, by foot, aeroplane, train, everything you have to do to get there.
And tigers.
And tigers and crocodiles. All of this you have to navigate to get there. So they gave us these dolls, and these dolls were so inherently dramatic. You saw some photographs of those dolls. They already speak of situations. So there was no master plan of making a play before these dolls came to us. And when the dolls came and then they were placed in front of us, there were stories already there. The play emerged out of those dolls in this particular case. And all the research into the stories of these dolls, into the stories of the people, of their folklores or their beliefs, really, and the fact that these dolls were made of clay. And that clay and soil, particularly muddy, kada. I don't know what is kada called in English. Kada is Kichad. What is kichad called in English? You know, the muddy.
Mud. It's mud.
It's very wet clay. Very wet earth. This is also so important to Sundarbans. It also grounds the philosophy of Sundarbans. Everything emerges from there. And everything is made of the same. So it was quite inevitable that clay would be not only a material part but a philosophical part of the performance. So this
Correct.
particular performance really emerged out of the material and the objects.
Right. So how
Even-
does your how
sorry.
does your idea of object evolved through the years? Like from the beginning, from the Nostos to the Matikata, the idea of object, how it evolved.
So
What it is at the beginning point and what it is now.
listen, object is an object. Okay. Object is an object.
Always.
Okay. Like I said, it remains what it is, where it is, very stubbornly.
Ah,
Okay.
ah,
What did change is how I am perceiving that object. That the
yeah.
object was when I was making earlier work, that object
Hmm.
was really a it. I was looking at that object to define what my theater is.
Mm-hmm.
To define the boundaries, to define the rules, what all is it not, and particularly I was separating it from puppetry.
Mm-hmm.
That was the mission. Okay.
Mm-hmm.
Now the object has only become an enabler. It has become a window.
Mm-hmm.
It's become a portal
Mm-hmm.
through which the world is viewed, through which people are viewed,
Mm-hmm.
through which cultures, times, politics, economics,
Mm-hmm.
all of this is viewed.
Mm-hmm.
So what used to be only a medium has now become a philosophical portal. That is how it
Right.
has changed.
Right. And what is the lens when you say it is different from puppetry and object is different?
Well, very so the both are dead. Okay. But I
Correct.
call puppet the living dead,
Yes.
and the object is just dead. It is just fundamentally dead. But the puppet is the world of the living dead.
Mhm. That's the point. So, what is the strangest object you have worked so far in the performance ever?
Oh, this
You remember, which annoyed you so much.
this this stupid toy pigeon. It was a stupid toy pigeon with wheels that would keep sliding off the stage,
Mhm.
which we had to make modifications to break off the wheels, glue the side
Mhm.
so that it would just
Mhm.
stay.
Mhm.
That was a intervention into the object that
Mhm.
we did that I would not do anymore, because now I would use, because at that time I was trying to force the pigeon to do what I needed it to do, which is to stand
Mhm.
stationary without
Mhm.
rolling off. Now I would
Mhm.
use the possibilities of that object into the dramaturgy of the show,
I see.
because I think by breaking off its wheels and gluing them
Mhm.
to do what I wanted it to do, I limited what all that object could have done.
Mhm.
So we no longer play that show.
Yeah. So I invite audience, if you have any question, please raise your hand or you can directly ask to Choiti. Yes, Supriya, welcome and it's lovely to see you after a long time.
Hi, Supriya.
Hi, Choiti. Hi, Manish. Thank you so much. And apologies, I was late by a few minutes. It was wonderful. It was a wonderful session. I have always been wanting to watch your work, this phase of your work, Choiti, and it has always happened in a city where I wasn't present. Uh, so it was fantastic. But I keep, searching for the videos sometimes when I think about object theatre and you, and I keep whatever I find, I watch. This is a silly question, actually, because a lot of questions that I had are already answered. And honestly, a lot is going on right now inside my mind, also as an teacher of acting, actually. But maybe later. But this silly question is about that. Do you think I'm just that an object also fascinates you so much in when it comes to performance because it is a co-actor who never tries to overpower the performance, a co-actor that does do what it is supposed to do, and it doesn't end up performing, but actually doing and communicating the story. Is Can that also be one reason? I'm just thinking like an actor trainer right now, actually.
See,
That
it certainly is a co-actor, but it doesn't always do what you want it to do.
no,
No, it doesn't, because the object, we imagine the object to be doing certain things, and very often it happens that
yeah,
I have imagined something with an object, and that is what it is communicating to me, and I have placed it on stage, and suddenly it no longer looks like what I thought it would look like. And it is
hmm,
not communicating to you, Supriya, in the audience, what it is communicating to me.
what you thought that it will communicate, or what it
Yeah.
is communicating
It
to
might
you. Yeah,
communicate something completely different, or
yeah,
it might communicate in multiplicity. If I have been effective in planting the suggestions that I want to plant, then hopefully, ideally, it will suggest my interpretation as well as yours, and it will open a
yeah,
whole world of possibilities rather than only saying that one thing that I want to say. Because that one thing that I want to say is not important for me. It's not important
yeah,
enough for me to limit your imagination. And
yeah,
what has been very, very enriching in this particular practice, which is something that I sometimes go to whenever I'm working with actors or for people who make actors theater. This I find a very important and a very significant takeaway that they find from the object theater training that they do is that an idea can speak in multiplicity. It can speak in varied layers, and sometimes,
yeah,
very often, it also happens that you have not thought of something, but it has
yeah,
communicated something to the audience, and it has come to you after 10 or 15 shows. And you realize, I had never thought of this, but it
yeah, yeah,
added all these layers. So, the supremacy of the human performer is not at all important. What is important is is to be able to create a space where the layers of the object, the idea of the performance, and the interpretations, the ideas or the associations of the audience, they can all coexist. It's one is not always successful in doing this.
yeah.
That is the ambition.
Yeah, yeah, I think that's what I was trying to say. So, from your whole talk, that's what I felt, that it is very like interesting that here, so that's what the object cannot behave like a human actor can behave, is capable of behaving, like, trying to control everything, actually. It can actually create ways for, many interpretations, because the moment you showed those three watches, you were talking about it. I was listening to you, but I was looking at those three watches and creating my own stories instead. So yeah, so I totally agree, and yeah, so, I have too many questions, but I'll some other time. Thank you so
So
much.
we can just get on a call whenever you want.
Yeah, sure.
Yeah. Thank you, Supriyadi, for the question, and thank you, Choiti, for the lovely insight again.
I just
We
want to ask
have
one thing, a simple question, very small.
yes,
That
Usha ji.
या मुझे ये पूछना है कि मतलब कि जैसे आपने कहा कि उस समय ऑब्जेक्ट जो आपको बोलता है आप वो कन्वे करते हैं, तो ऐसा होता है कि क्या आपका स्क्रिप्ट हिलती है उस समय, तो को एक्टर जो और साथ में जुड़े हैं वो क्या करते हैं, मतलब हाउ डज इट हैपन देन?
Sorry, can you repeat the question, Usha ji?
I just wanted to know that if the script is not strictly followed and what your object is saying at that time, and you start doing that, does not it affect the co-actor who is also there in the scene and whose dialogues or whose work will follow your thing? So how like is it a like इतना flexible है ये?
Yeah, okay. Thanks for this question. So, like I mentioned, the first play that we had made, Nostos, that you saw, was so tightly scripted. The last play that we made, Mati Kotha, we didn't have a script. We had a flow chart.
Yeah.
Okay, so we had a flow chart of a flow chart which started with events, and then that flow chart was rearranged according to dramaturgy. And then we would improvise something. Shamim and I would improvise something, and Manjima would write something, and then it both would feed into each other. So this particular play was written on clay and on paper simultaneously.
But when you're performing at that time, it is fixed.
Now it has become more or less fixed, but we keep making changes. Like the last show, suddenly it from a one-person show, it had to become a two-man handler. The show, it's with this particular show, we realized that it's a little bit like Mercury. It's very malleable.
Yeah.
And that's why it's still fun to play.
Yeah. Yeah, it's not a fixed script.
It is a fixed script, but it keeps pushing.
Yeah,
it keeps pushing here and there. Yeah, it is fixed, but it keeps pushing here and there. But the thematic and the dramaturgical line that we have identified, that we don't play.
Thank you. It was nice.
Thank you, Ushaji, for the question. And in the chat box, I can see people are asking your contact details. So would you agree to share the contact details?
यहीं पे डाल दूं क्या?
So you can type it in the chat box.
What email ID? No?
Email ID.
While you're typing it, I just wanted to say about Mati Katha. While I was watching the trailer, Abhi, I constantly felt that the material was guiding the flow. It was the material that was, you talked about the flow of it, no? It was the material. It's a beautiful piece.
Yeah.
I wish I'll watch it. You never came with it to this place, no? Though you collaborated with Polami for this piece, as much as I remember, I have seen emails. You did perform it in Delhi, but you have never come to Sonipat with it, no?
No, we haven't come to Sonipat with it.
Yeah.
Right.
Acha, Idoya was asking for email ID. Okay.
Yes, now Idoya left. I will share this contact with Idoya on email.
Okay, so I am also copying this. So I will write an email to you, Choiti.
Sure.
Thank you so much.
If there are, I'm actually particularly very interested in any comments or questions from any object theatre practitioners, even if sporadic object theatre practitioners that we might have in the room. Because
are there any?
Or anybody who has dabbled in something or even has seen things, because we are so starved for your company.
Yes.
So if there are any comments or questions or anything at all to say from anybody who has seen anything else or done anything else from around
just
the world.
Experience or sharing, feel free to jump in. Yes, Karen ma'am, please.
I have seen quite a lot of object theatre, but I found Choiti's and Shamim's performance, which I saw in Chuncheon in 2024, one of the most dramatic and moving and powerful and humorous and tragic and marvelous pieces of theatre I have seen for a long time. So I just want to thank Choiti and Shamim and all of the people at Tram Theatre. Keep doing this wonderful work. I love dolls, and as you know, I've lived in India for some years, and I have quite a lot of Indian dolls and dolls from other countries. And there's something about dolls. There are people who find dolls very disturbing, but there are others of us who they are little spirits, little people, little animals, little beings, and you know, I think puppetry has a lot to do with dolls, and I don't think we should dismiss the importance and the power of dolls in our lives, in the world. But Choiti, I just really admire your work, your team's work. And again, I just want to repeat that Mati Katha was one of the most exceptional pieces of theatre I have seen for many, many years. So keep playing it, keep doing other work, but you know, your explorations and have really paid off. You know, your passion, your understanding, the depth of your belief in what you're doing and the power of objects and why objects. Keep doing that and keep telling your story about why objects, why object theatre. We need to hear it, and we need to hear your story about why.
Thank you, Karen. This is very well timed because we've just started researching for the next production, and I am petrified. So thank you. This is very well timed.
Right. Shubhashish sir, yes.
Yeah.
We have last 3 minutes.
Yeah. First of all, thank you for the wonderful session. It's quite eye-opening. And secondly, personally, I really recall my childhood. After 40 years, I heard the Bon Bibi and the Sundarban and lots of stuff. And the glimpses of your work really took us to that delta.
Yeah.
That's really nice. So I don't know when I can see your performance right in front of me. It's really it's an amazing session. Thank you.
Thank you so much. So if there is no question for ahead, I can include.
Sorry, Manish, just to say,
Yeah.
if anybody has any thoughts or any questions that come to, or
Yes.
just any comments that come to them later, just please.
Any feedback?
Yeah, please just write to us. I would just love to hear from.
Definitely. You have our email address, puppeteertrust@gmail.com, or you can directly write to Choiti, tramsarttrust@gmail.com. So the emails are in the chat box. I will share all the details with you. So projecting last question to you in one sentence answer. So what do you what do you suggest for the future objectist or object theatre practitioners in one sentence to encourage them to explore more with the object?
I think the greatest gain will be a network of connections, both in terms of relationships and in terms of ideas.
Definitely.
And across cross-cultural connections.
Definitely.
Connections in every possible dimension that you can think of.
Definitely. Very insightful. And I think that's what UNIMA means, to build network across the countries, across the boundaries, and meaning of exchange will come fruitful here. Yeah. Thank you so much, everyone, joining a different part of the world and India together here. And last, can I request you to turn on your video? Welcome, Gundu sir. Thank you for joining.
Thank you.
Hello, sir.
Thank you, Jyoti ji. Kaise ho?
Can I just say one last thing? That
Yes,
Gundu
of
sir
course,
was
of
very much the reason that Mati Kotha came about in the way that it did.
Thank you.
Sir, don't think we don't know it. We know it.
मुझे तो इंग्लिश कहाँ से आता है ज्योति जी?
मुझे पता है माटी का था।
वही तो
बनने का
हाँ।
पीछे बहुत बड़ा हाथ आपका है। आपको लगता है हमें नहीं पता, लेकिन हमें पता है।
थैंक यू, अच्छा हो रहा है ना, ये खुशी हो रहा है मुझे। एक बार
Right.
एक बार आ जाओ।
मैं आऊंगी, हम आएंगे, हम नाटक लेके आएंगे।
ठीक है ठीक है ठीक है। मेरे स्टूडियो पे आ जाओ ज्योति जी, आसन।
आएंगे डेफिनेटली।
इधर इधर मैसूर मैसूर आते हैं ना तब।
डन।
जी
नेक्स्ट
ओके
ट्रिप टू
ओके
द साउथ
ओके
हम आएंगे।
ओके, थैंक यू थैंक यू थैंक यू।
Yeah, so we can have last selfie saying
Selfie?
puppetry. If yeah, just if you turn on the video, I can just take a
Oh,
screenshot
okay.
now.
Okay. And so मौके का फायदा उठा कि हाय आशीष था बस म्यूट.
Okay. Just 3, 2, 1. Yeah, thank you so much. It was a lovely session and lovely honor to have Choiti with us for insight about object theater. So as we come to an end of the session today, I would like to extend our heartfelt gratitude to Choiti Ghosh and her work for her generously sharing her experience and reflection and insight with us. So today's discussion offered us a deeper understanding of object theater, not only an artistic practice, but also as a way of perceiving the world around us. So thank you to all participants who joined us from different parts
मनीष
of the country.
मनी
Yes, sir.
मनीष
Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
25-26 का यूनिमा फेस्टिवल के लिए सबको स्वागत करो।
जी. So 25-26, there is a festival of UNIMA happening in Hasan, Karnataka, and the details will share soon with all of you. If you know about it, you want to know about it, you can always reach out us on our email. Yeah. So thank you, everyone. Thank you all the
Thank you
participants to
One question to you,
contribute.
Manish. Sorry, because you have our UNIMA, sorry, क्या बोल रही हूँ, did contact us for this meeting. So we hope that we will be added to your mailing list now for all these
Yes.
updates.
Definitely.
ठीक है,
Or
ठीक है.
and also you can follow us on our Insta, Facebook for the regular update. And
वो
automatically you are added to our email list.
yeah. So that. Thank you.
And also you are
Thanks,
encouraged to
Choiti.
be a member. You can be a member for the regular update. Constant update. Yeah. So we also thanks the team of UNIMA Puppeteers Trust for organizing this session, Anubhav series. And if you enjoyed today's session, please do visit our website, YouTube channel, social media handles that are already posted in the chat box. We look forward to see you in the next edition of Anubhav. Do you know who is coming? Miss Cathay Foley. So yeah, diving deep into the world of mandala thinking, tantric traces, and the gods of love, playing the puppetry and clowns of Southeast Asia puppetry. And for further detail, yeah, you can contact us on Insta and Facebook. When it is on 6th of September. You can lock your calendar now only. Yeah. So until then, stay connected, keep breathing, keep creating, and keep learning, and keep celebrating the art of puppetry. Thank you, everyone. Have a wonderful day. Thank you so much. This is Manish Pacharu from UNIMA Puppeteers Trust, India.
Thank you, Choiti. Thank you, Mani.
Thank you, Choiti.
Thank you.
It was a nice session. Thank you. Thanks, Yuva.
Thanks, Manish. Thanks, Choiti.
Thank you so much.
Bye.